Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Stephanie's Stamp Pad, where we get together in my home office or my studio or my craft room or whatever you want to call it, and we make a card. Today's card is perfect for my mother because she loves tea parties. She is all about having tea parties. Every Christmas she has a special tea party where only certain people are invited, and it's a big deal. And she has one friend fly from Texas to come to this tea party, and I'll be honest, I'm not invited. I apparently am too young, but they have a lot of fun and they wear these fancy hats and it's adorable. So this would be perfect for my mom. It is technically a stand-up card. It says, "You warm my heart," and when it stands up, look at how cute that is. Wouldn't that be fantastic to give to my mom? I think I might have to. Now, what do you need to create this card? Well, the best part about it is it's very easy peasy. First, you're going to need the framelit stand-up die set that I designed for Sizzix. It's number 661566, easy. Then we're also going to use this stamp set that I designed for Stamps of Life. It is called Tea for Two, how appropriate, right? And we're going to be using the Tea Party dies that match. And I think that's about it. We're going to be using some embellishments, some Stamps of Life pattern paper, and of course my ink pads. Let's get started. Now, I always say this, and it's always true, so that's why I always say it. I always start with my base. I always die cut my base first, because then I have my foundation. It's like building a home. The first thing you do is you build your foundation, then you build up. And that's kind of how I look at cards. So we're going to take this, and we're going to lay this die down, and we're going to put it a little bit at an angle. So we're going to put it ever so slightly at an angle when it goes through the machine. That way, I don't have a speed bump. And I'm going to get my other cutting pad and I'm going to run this through. Now the die is going to cut and score at the same time. Don't be overwhelmed if you hear that noise. That's just the blades going through the cutting pad, and it's totally normal, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? I know some people get a little nervous. They're like, I'm breaking it. No. That blade has so much pressure on it to go into the paper with the machine, because of the machine, that it has to go somewhere, so it goes into the cutting pads. It's supposed to. So now we have our die cut base. I have a beautiful score line right here, and I realize it's hard to see, but I'm going to fold it on that score line so my corners line up just like that, okay? Now we're going to put that off to the side, and we are going to die cut our layering piece. So we have a layering piece here that we're going to die cut. We're also going to die cut a little blue circle because we're going to need that in a couple minutes. So there, we're going to add that. Then we're going to run this through. Let's see if I can fit this on a smaller, yes, a smaller cutting pad. The smaller the die surface that you have to die cut, the smaller the cutting pad. It just saves you some time. So we're going to run that through. Easy peasy. Then we're going to do some stamping. Okay, so now we have our circle die cut. Where is it? Let's bring it over here so you can see. So there's my circle. And here is my pattern paper. Okay, so we have those pieces. Now let's do some stamping. Let's first add our teapot. And let's see, hopefully Stephanie has a block big enough. Yes, I do. Okay, so we're going to lay that down. Now this stamp, here's a good tip. This stamp has an inside that's empty, meaning there's not a back to the stamp. The reason being is I also added this heart that I wanted you to have. So that's optional. But in order to make sure that this is going to fit into my die really well, I'm going to lay my die down. That's the die that's going to cut out this stamp. And I'm going to lay my stamp face down. Everything is face down. So it is in that die. So if I move that die around, see how it's all moving around? So I know that stamp is not skewed, because if I put it on my block like this, well, that's an exaggeration, of course. But if I put it on my block like this, I'm not going to be able to die cut it perfectly, right? So I'm going to use my die cut as, my die as a template. And I'm just going to kind of make sure it's in there, and it's in there. See, I can see. So now I'm going to, this is face down, stamp, and die. I'm going to lay this block right on top, press, and lift up. And now it's in a perfect position to be stamped and die cut. So we're going to get our blueberry ink, and we're going to ink this baby up. And we're going to stamp. Of course, we're using the Stamper Secret Weapon. Beautiful. And then we are going to add some cute little hearts. So we're going to peel up these little hearts, and we're going to use these, just like that, out of candy ink. And we're going to stamp it right there on the inside of our teapot. Just like that. Cute. Now, we're also going to stamp our cute little teapot. And where is my teapot? Here he is. So let's just, for fun, see what I'd like to do to save time. I just switch to the other side of the block. And littler stamps, I just dip into the ink pad. We're going to stamp that. Perfect. And lastly, we are going to get that little tiny baby heart. The smaller the stamp, the smaller the block you want to use, because you don't want to rock and roll too much, because that's not good when it comes to stamping. You don't want to roll or rock that stamp block. So now we're going to ink this one, and we're going to stamp right there on that cute. Look how cute this is. Look how sweet. Okay, now we are going to die cut. So I'm going to put that back, and we'll put that back later. Move that over. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this on the machine, and we're going to add our big die around this. See how you can line that up just perfectly, which is so fantastic. And then let's get our other, oh, there it is. Look. My magnetic brush found the die for me, which is fantastic. We're going to lay that down, and we're going to get that exactly where we want it. And then we're going to run this through. Smaller dies, smaller surface means a smaller cutting pad, so we can use our pretty pink one, and we're going to run that through. Now, as that's die cutting, we're going to get ready to start adding adhesive to the back of this. Perfect. So look at that, perfectly die cut and stamped. Oh, finger test. Look, I see this moving. Watch. Ready? Watch my cutting pad. See how it's moving? See how it's bouncing up and down like that? That means it's time to flip. So I always try to remind you to flip, to do the finger test. Now look, it's not moving at all. So that's what we want. Okay, so now we are going to add adhesive to our layering piece. Just like this. And look, you'll see brown all the way around because I did all the math for you. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And then we need to stamp You Warm My Heart. So let's get that out. Whoops, where are you going? You Warm My Heart. And where'd that, oh, let's use this block. I love these round blocks, they're so fun. Okay, You Warm My Heart in Blueberry. Blueberry. And we're going to stamp this a little bit higher than normal. We're not going in the center. We want to go a little higher than normal. There you go. And I'm kind of thinking I'd like to ink the edges of this just a tad. So I'm going to grab some blueberry ink. There's my blueberry. And we're just going to ink the edges. Let's get our guy out of here. There we go. Give us some more room. We need some elbow room. So we're going to add some blueberry ink, start on the edges, and just lightly, lightly go on this one. Because I don't want too much color, but I just want some definition. So I'm just going to lightly go around. Around and around and around and around and around and around and around. There we go. Look at that. Just adds more pop, which is funny. It adds more pop. Okay, so now we're going to add this to our card right there. Look how that layers perfectly on that. Then we're going to add a little bit of detail to our little teapot. So let's get the blueberry marker, because of course there's a marker for that, right? And on this one, I just want to show you what we did. On this one, we just added a little bit more detail because it does look a little naked. So let's see, let's try the tip. Oh, let's do that tip. So we're just going to go dot, dot, and let's make it a little bigger. Dot, dot, just to add a little bit more fun to this little teapot. Not something you would always want to do, so that's why it's not included in the stamp. But you never know, sometimes you just want to add a little extra detail. Look how cute that adds. I'm going to go around here. Look how fun. And I'm just doing little tiny squiggles. All right, all right. So now we're going to add, let's pop this up just a little. I'm just going to add one. So it'll just pop up just a little. I'm never good at peeling off these backings. They just never love me. They never love, there we go. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're going to lay this down right here. And because we popped that up, we have room to add our cute little flowers. So let's add some of our flowers. These are just some embellishment flowers that the Stamps of Life came out with in one of the kits at one time. And let's add a little one here. Right there. And we're going to add a bigger one here behind our teapot. Oh, let's move that so it's, there we go. And then let's get our little cute little teacup. Our little teacup. I remember my daughters always used to have tea parties with Ken. They always used to make Ken sit and have tea with them. So cute. So we're going to add our cute little teacup here. And let's add a little baby flower over here. And to finish this off, we're going to add some cardstock or pattern paper on the inside. So let's add that just right about here. Now what I like to do is I always cut my strips bigger, longer on purpose, because that way if I try to cut it exactly 5.5 inches, the width of this, you know I'm going to be a millimeter off, and then I'm going to get annoyed, right? So what I do is I line it up on one side, right there. See how I'm lining it up perfect right here? Then I'm bringing it all the way to the end, and then I only have to trim one spot. So I'm going to always turn it over and use the cardstock or the card base as my guide, and I'm simply going to trim. There we go. Look at that. Boom. Perfect right size. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add some ribbon. We're just going to add a little bow. Look how cute this is. And to tie a bow, you're going to start at the beginning just with the over the edge, and then we're going to make a loop, and we're going to go behind that loop, and we're going to fold it in half and push it through the little hole, and look at that perfect little bow. My mama taught me that. And then we're going to trim this and trim this. Is that? Yeah. And then let's add one more little flower because you can never have too many flowers. Let's add it right there. And look at that. Oh, we're going to score this because it's already full. It's already scored there, but we just need to actually fold it. And then we have our little belly button notch, and I know it's hard to see, but there's a little belly button notch right there, and we're going to pull that up. And then we're going to put our card into the little base, and watch this. It's popping out. Look at that. It's supposed to stay right in that notch, right? That just means there's no problem here. That just means we're going to score this a little bit more. So we're going to use a bone folder or the edge of a block or the edge of the cutting pad, and now perfect. Look at how adorable that is. My mom is going to love this. You warm my heart. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Stephanie's Stamp Pad, where we get together and make a cute little teapot card. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.